Welcome to Courtney on Health, heard on MalcolmPresents.com. Anyway, we are a new, we're not new anymore, but we're a new streaming service platform heard on the internet. Anyway, Max, give us our opening.
The interweb right now.
I have no idea what the new
wait.
terminology is.
I'm joking. Anyway, hi Courtney.
Hello.
And hi Malcolm. Welcome to Courtney on Health, the Zoomcast podcast series, which focuses on one's overall well-being with tips on nutrition and exercise given by Courtney Gravenese, who's a registered dietitian with a Master of Science degree in nutrition and applied physiology. Courtney is an experienced nutritional and health consultant in the New York metro area and into the universe, and will help guide you on a path to wellness and health. So even though it might not feel it today, it is getting darker earlier, and the air is getting crisp and cool. Today we're having a little warmer day, but we're starting to get sweaters, put on sweaters, getting warmer socks as we move into the season of pumpkin spice lattes. Yes, I think they started those in August this year somehow.
Yes, they did.
Candy apples, ghosts, goblins, and weekend football gatherings. The World Series. Hopefully it's the Mets, which all lead up to Thanksgiving.
Well, speaking about that, the big excitement in baseball is Aaron Judge.
Right, the Yankee.
The Yankees, 59 home runs going into this week.
He's going to tie the record or maybe go over it. But anyway, aside from that,
the National League record, for 61 by Roger Maris. Anyway, continue.
Okay, we always add stuff, and Courtney looks at us like God knows what. As the temperature drops, we need to nourish and warm the body from the inside and get the nutrients we need to get us through the colder weather. So this is the perfect time to celebrate the seasonal produce of autumn, and Courtney will give us some great info on what produce to eat and what you should stock up on at your local market or farmer's market for the fall. So Courtney, take us into this.
Hello, happy, autumnal, it's in like the 21st?
I think it's the autumnal equinoxes, something like
that.
It's coming soon.
All right, happy, it's a great time of year. It's very fun, and I love this time of year with the abundance of produce available. So we've spoken about this, greatest nutrient density because it's picked fresh and has to travel shorter distance, and just the vibrant colors that are around. So we're going to talk about the different produce that are available beyond just, pumpkin. I get it. I realize the pumpkin is always, it gets the limelight, but there are a lot of unsung colder weather crops that if you're not familiar with them yet, you should familiarize yourself with them. They're tasty, they're nutritious, but we're also going to talk about, as it gets cooler, I'm all about speed. You guys know that. I like fast, I like economical. We're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about sheet pan cooking, which makes for quick, short work, very nutritious. And then also with slow cookers. And I know there are other gadgets and gizmos like air fryers and things like that, but I went with these because they are probably two pieces of equipment that many people have in their kitchen. And if you don't, neither one of them is going to set you back a whole lot of money. So we'll talk about that as well.
Right.
So obviously everybody knows about pumpkin. You're not kidding, Max. I feel like they ramped that up, right after July 4th. It's right there with the back to school stuff that makes me so crazy. So
it's nuts. It's July, but I guess we have to kind of understand back in the East, we start a little later, but schools start in Florida, California. They start in August, So I guess they're going after that crowd. But pumpkin latte in August? Nope.
Oh, maybe it's iced, right? Cold brew pumpkin latte. So anyway, it is fine if you like those drinks. It is fine if you like pumpkin muffins that are bought. But if you really want the best of what the season has to offer and all the nutrition that comes along with, we're really talking about not the pumpkin flavor, we're talking about the real deal. So whether you the pumpkin pulp is quite edible. So not only for pies, but for things like breads and muffins. If you don't want to use, usually it's the sugar babies that they're a little bit bigger than this guy that's right here, that are used for the pulp, which ultimately goes into recipes. My aunt, God bless her, used to buy them whole, and she made her pies. It was scratch. So that's fantastic, but I'm all about speed. So I go for the canned stuff. You're looking for just 100% pumpkin puree, not pumpkin pie mix. There's a difference.
There is a big difference.
Literally what my Aunt Marie did, already done for me in a can. So all it will say on that label is 100% pumpkin puree. No salt, no sugar, no spices, no nothing.
And on a side note, it's good for your doggy.
Oh,
pumpkin is good for digestion if your dog's having a problem with digestion. Just throwing it out there.
All right. I wonder if Simbalu would like that. You guys know my cat. So anyway, I digress.
Okay.
But you can put it obviously into all types of baked products. You can mix it into soups, stews, chili. I know it seems odd, but it really gives a tremendous punch of, it is crazy high in beta carotene, that orange color. Remember, that's what drives, right? That's what you're looking for. That contains tremendous amounts of vitamin A. So you'll see that when you look at the vitamin A content, when you are looking at the can, you'll see that it's off the charts. My daughter sent a picture of, I guess there's pumpkin Cheerios out there now. So I said, you got to tell me what these taste like. And then you got to tell me what the vitamin A content is. So sure enough.
Pumpkin Cheerios. Wow.
Pumpkin Cheerios. She says they're great. Anyway, I want to know who else has tried them. You let me know. And
I haven't seen them on the shelf. I don't know. We'd have to check it out.
She got them at school in a Wegmans. But said they were good. And the label looks pretty decent. It does, like, no surprise. If it's got pumpkin in it, it would be high in vitamin A. And sure enough, it is high in vitamin A. So think beyond the beverages. Look at that label and look to see that vitamin A. If it says pumpkin muffin and you haven't made it yourself, for example, and let's say you're in a grocery store and now you'll see pumpkin muffins and breads and things like that all over the place. If it doesn't say 10% or greater in the vitamin A, something is amiss. It should be higher than that. So that probably is pumpkin flavoring and not the real pumpkin puree. Other types of that, obviously apple season. I love apple season. I actually, all types, doesn't really matter. You'll get them at the least price for the year. This time of year, you can either buy them loose, but if you're really trying to save some money and you got a big brood in your house to feed, you can go with the bags and usually save some money by buying them in bulk like that.
And go apple picking.
Oh, go apple picking?
And pick them off the. We used to do all sorts of things. I don't know what they do now.
Oh my gosh, absolutely! I think it's a great listen for fall activities. A couple of weeks ago, we touched on getting out there.
Right, apple picking is one.
Great, and buy them and just keep them cool. Right, they're not going to like heat, so don't store them outside. Particularly in the Northeast, we're getting a little bit of a tiny warm spell. You want to keep them cold. So if you're not going to eat them right away, if you've got like a colder cellar, that's great. Otherwise, you're going to put them in your fridge and you're going to buy yourself a little bit more time with them. Remember to separate apples from other fruits. However, there's a gas that is emitted from the apples that actually hastens the ripening of other fruits. So don't put them next to your bananas unless you really like brown bananas. So separate them out. They don't play nicely together in the sandbox. So keep that in mind. People, we're a pear family here at Casa Gravenes, but people, I feel like it doesn't have the same, energy and attention that apples get. Pears are wonderfully abundant this time of year. Most people don't know that in addition to containing fiber, they contain naturally occurring sorbitol. You guys remember me talking about that sugar alcohol, sorbitol?
Right.
So in packaged foods and things like chewing gum, if you're consuming a lot of it, It might not be the greatest thing because some folks get some GI upset with it. So in that form, it's not great. But naturally occurring sorbitol occurs in pears. It's very high in pears. It's in things like plums and prunes. And sorbitol can help with, and again, we always come back to, you know, what your bowels are doing here, helps with constipation. It's a natural laxative. So it's a great thing to keep in mind, which is why, by the way, prunes are one of the things they encourage, not necessarily because of the fiber, but because of the naturally occurring sorbitol that's in there. So pears are great. Same thing, buy them in bulk if you're going to go through a lot. Cooler weather crops, so things like kale, any of your squashes, not your, so we're kind of past, you know, your summer squash and your zucchini now, and we move to the tougher skin, you know, squashes like delicata and butternut. They're wonderful typically if you roast them and then just on their own roasted with a little bit of oil and salt and pepper, or once they're in that form, you can put them into soups and stews and all types of things, mix it with pasta. They're very versatile in that way. Again, very high in vitamin A, beta carotene, high in fiber, very tasty. So pick your favorite and, you know, snoop around your grocery store and see what sparks your interest. Sweet potatoes.
I love those.
Now they're available year round. Many of these foods that we're talking about are, but you know, they're cooler weather. They will stay for a very long time in a cool cellar, like I mentioned. You're technically not supposed to put potatoes in the refrigerator, but if you've purchased a bunch of them because they were on sale, if you don't want them to go to waste and grow eyes, you're going to need to cool that temperature down for them. So it might mean you have to put them in your fridge in order to buy you some life for them, some time.
Good tip.
Yeah. So great, you know, great things there. I love kale. Kale you can get any time of year, but you'll see it now more often outside of the clamshell. Like most folks see it in the clamshell container year round, but now you'll see it usually wrapped with a band or some twine because it's one of the crops that we're going to see this time of year. Cauliflower is another cold weather crop. So think about your super stinky vegetables this time of year. Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, all that stuff that stinkifies your home, but is so high in nutrition. Those are the ones that are going to be available now. So pick them up. It's a nice segue for me to talk about easy prep because the sheet pan, if you don't have one of these, and I apologize for folks who are like, of course I have a sheet pan. Who do you think we're talking to? You know, so, but for folks who don't really know their way around a kitchen yet, or maybe it's a couple starting out or somebody who just graduated from college, it really is an indispensable piece of equipment in your kitchen. I assure you, you will use it regularly.
Yeah, well, one thing, Courtney, you mentioned, you know, kale and cabbage, not cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. These things I eat all year round.
Yeah,
that's you.
So they're available year round. We're
available year round in California. I don't know whether they're not available in New York.
We can get them, but you're getting, in terms of the price, I mean, I don't know if you follow it and you track it, they'll be less expensive now, particularly the ones that are not already packaged. So the ones that are packaged, and I'm with you, Malcolm, I buy them year round as well, but they're usually in that clamshell, that plastic container. If I do buy them loose or in the open section, that price can, let's say in January, is going to be higher than it will be right now, between now and let's say, you know, November.
Right, but is there any difference in quality and nutrition of them or taste?
Well, one of the benefits of eating in season is certainly taste, because it hasn't been sitting around, and the nutrition quality, because it hasn't been sitting around and it doesn't have to be transported from the other side of the country, or in some cases the other side of the world. So the longer it sits out, a lot of these, particularly your water-soluble vitamins like vitamin C, are particularly volatile, meaning that they'll lose their strength over time. So it won't be completely devoid of nutrition. I don't want to send that message, but in terms of the greatest concentration It's going to be highest, fresh picked, consumed as quickly as possible. And the taste is usually, I find them good year round, but I can really taste the difference with stuff that's been grown locally. And I know I'm eating it within a couple of weeks or even shorter than that of being picked. So, but taste for yourselves and you can let me know from there, which is why back to the pumpkin, this is great because it's a shelf stable item to keep because it's sealed in here. You're not going to lose very little loss in terms of vitamin and mineral concentration.
Good. So I see you also have a slow cooker there.
Yes. So there's talk about the pan. What you want to look for is a very solid pan, heavy, okay, for its size, heavy for its size. You want a rim on it, usually about, just roughly around, an inch, could be a little bit less than that. And you want a nice wide, I think you can see that. You want a nice big pan. Why? Because if you're going to, take up space in your kitchen, you want one that's going to hold a decent amount of food, particularly if you're using this pan for your whole meal. Because in a perfect world, what we're looking for is you put your veg, you put your protein, you put your spuds or whatever grain you're going to do all in this pan. And if it's too small to accommodate all that, you won't get that beautiful caramelized roasting flavor. You're going to end up steaming everything. So go big when you're going to buy this. Go heavy for its size. And yeah, this is a 5.5 quart slow cooker. I've had this for years, well over a decade. If you take care of them, you really only need one in a lifetime. Although I have known people who drop this is a ceramic base, who drop that, and that means you got to get a new one. But
yeah.
This is not an expensive. Do you guys have slow cookers at your house?
I do not. I've been actually very happy with my air fryer.
I was going to say.
And I don't have a slow cook. I think I had one way back when, but
my wife cooks with it and she loves it.
Yeah. So, but I know a lot of people have them, and you just put it in and it stays on for like 7-8 hours, and you can. Go ahead, tell us.
Yeah, no, set it and forget it kind of thing.
Put it in and forget it.
What's that?
You don't put it in and forget it.
Well, you can't forget about it too long.
No.
This is a basic one. The reason why I like this is because for the cost, and they're not going to be very expensive, especially if you get a coupon to one of these big stores, and you can knock off 20% off the bill. They're not a huge ticket item. You can get ones that are programmable, meaning that it will turn on in addition to turning off while you're out. So if you're leaving particularly early in the morning for work, let's say 5 o'clock, and you're not home until 9 o'clock. Many of these sort of cap out at, roughly 10 hours. Some of them will go to 12 hours. So that is one advantage of a programmable one. This is a basic model. And for me, it goes up to 10 hours. And typically that covers, if I'm going to do it, it covers the day. You will have to have everything cut and ready to go, which, save a little time on the weekend and get your veg and things like that, ready. And then on a busy work morning or school morning or whatever it is you're doing during your day, you get everything loaded up in there, set it, close it up. If you're looking, it's not cooking. So you got to keep this lid on, okay? Don't keep opening it up. Otherwise you're going to throw off the heating. So close that lid. If you need to add things periodically, that would be fine, because sometimes recipes say 5 hours in, add something, an herb or a spice or something, and that would be totally fine. Some people like to cook their protein before it goes in here. You can, but again, the beauty of this is that it really is designed to kind of throw stuff in and then, walk away. Maybe it just needs a stir when you get home from work or school, about 3/4.
My favorite piece of equipment, kitchen equipment, is for a simple meal, is a rice cooker.
Rice cooker, another one.
I mean, I remember the old days when I had to time the rice, make sure it's so it's soft. But this way, I put the rice in, I put the water in, I know how much water and how much over. Yep. I put the top in, and I forget about it. Yeah, it turns off automatically.
Yeah. Anybody I know who's got a rice cooker absolutely loves it. It cooks it perfectly. So it's a great gadget to certainly, cook your rice perfectly. You mentioned the air fryer, Maxine. It is wildly popular right now, and quite frankly, a very healthful way to cook. You use
right.
it a lot.
It uses air. There's really no grease. I mean, you use a little bit of cooking spray or olive oil, whatever. You just coat your food.
Yeah.
But I was initially like, what the heck, and then people were using it and they were telling me, and I really find it a very useful tool, and it's healthy. It's a healthy way to cook almost everything. I think it's
pretty much
good.
Everything. I mean, even toast. People use it. They don't have a toaster. They'll use their air fryer to toast. So I mean,
I haven't done that yet.
But so two things when you're buying them, right? So first of all, your air fryer is going to be a bigger ticket item. So if you're on a really big budget, you just want to be mindful of that. Same thing with something called a sous vide, and I'll talk about that in a second. The air fryers, you want appropriate space. I don't know how big of a one you have, Maxine, but they come in different quart sizes. So like I mentioned, that this particular slow cooker is 5.5 quarts. Depending on your family, you don't really want a tiny one. The beauty of this, I don't know if you can see the size of that bowl.
That's pretty big.
It's pretty big because I like cook once, eat twice or 3 times. If you're going through all that effort, you might as well get a couple of meals out of it. And if it's too small to do that, you might be limiting yourself. It's the same thing with the air fryer. If it can't fit like a roasting chicken and you've got a family of 4, well, then you got to do the pieces. So you just need to buy the right size.
There's only mostly just 2 of us. So for us, the size is really perfect. If I had, a bigger family at the house right now, it would be a different story in terms of cooking a meal. But for us, for the empty nesters, it's pretty good.
Yeah, no. And I know lots of folks love it. And it is I know despite the name, some people get a little flipped out about the name. It's like it's frying them. I'm like, well, no, it's not. They're just saying the word frying because it crisps things frying, but it's not. Yeah. And then have you guys heard of a sous vide?
No.
I haven't.
You have, Malcolm? Yeah.
No, I have not.
I have not.
I honestly, up until about 4 years ago, I had never heard of this. My friend had told me about it and was using it. So in short, and it's not for everybody, it is a higher price ticket item. Also something you can program and leave your think of it as a water bath for cooking protein foods. And it holds it at that temperature safely for many hours. It can't be all day. It is not a slow cooker. So it's not like you can leave it in there for 12 hours. I mean, there's usually a time limit, but I think of this, and this is what my friend had recommended. You got a game, you're running out with your kiddo for a baseball game or a lacrosse game, and you just want to come home at the end of the meal and just quickly finish cooking it. It's perfect for that because for like 3 hours or so, it's going to cook it, stop it, and then you just need to finish it off on like a grill or a grill pan. So it's considered as an option, but again, it's going to fall into that higher price point kitchen gadget. And I sort of feel like, again, sheet pan, absolutely, because I'm a big fan of the one sheet pan cooking, and certainly a slow cooker, or if you can spring for it, the air fryer, just in terms of its versatility and how much stuff it can cook.
Right. Good. So, any particular one pan recipe you can shadow, or you'll put it online or something?
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to post some stuff online. This time of year with all of the vegetables available, there's really no wrong combination. I happen to like I know people like chicken thighs. This family likes chicken breasts a little bit better, so I tend to cook with those. But I will say chicken thighs will end up being less dry for sure. The one thing you want to keep in mind, and I'll have the recipe. So vegetables and your protein are probably going to cook at a separate time. They all will go on that pan, but they're going to go in at separate times. So things like potatoes and any other of the squashes that we mentioned are probably going to need a little bit more time. It's typically a very high heat oven, not always, but sometimes. So 400, 425, very, very hot. Make sure your oven is very clean, otherwise you're going to smoke out your kitchen. So high heat, you're going to want to spray the pan, and it doesn't need a whole lot, or just use a little bit of oil. Go for one of your higher heat cooking oils. We've spoken about this before. So your avocado, your canola oil that can withstand high heat like that, so it doesn't smoke up. Spray a little bit on the pan. Or if you really want super easy cleanup, and I do this a lot, if I know I'm zipping out the door, you're going to line this with either parchment or aluminum foil, and then spray that with your cooking spray. Load it up with your veggies that take the longest first, a little bit of olive oil, sprinkle with salt and pepper. Basic is all you need when you roast like that. Those go in first, and then maybe you have some marinated chicken that you want to throw in there. Maybe with maybe you've got some Indian spices that you've thrown on. That would go in towards the tail end because they don't need as long cooking. Stir it all up occasionally. Maybe use Malcolm's rice cooker that you mentioned and have that, or maybe some nice sourdough bread to go with, and your meal is done. Easy, inexpensive,
easy.
Very nutritious. So that's what you're looking for.
So a quick, I know we're not quite there yet because Thanksgiving is closer than we think, but it's a little further than Halloween and stuff. But cranberries, are we going to do something about those in our next some segments coming up?
Oh my gosh, and we should.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I love to do, to make.
And it's so easy. And I feel like, cranberry sauce, I feel like, it's a little sad to me because I feel like it just gets attention around Thanksgiving, and it's, they're seasonal. So cranberries are just like, they're in season right now, or they will very, very shortly. They store beautifully in the freezer. So if you buy them, and you should this time of year, because that's when they're on sale, whatever you don't use, just put inside a Ziploc bag or a freezer container and just store them in there. And then you use them. Typically, you're not going to eat them raw. Have you guys ever had a plain?
No. They have to be cooked.
No. So, but they're super easy to put into different kinds of breads. Sure. Cranberry sauce is one of the easiest things to make ever. You need water, and you need a little bit of sugar. Some people put cinnamon sticks or mulling spices, or
a little lemon sometimes.
Yeah. Easy, and it's so wonderful, and it's great on sandwiches. It's as a condiment on the side. So, think a little bit past Thanksgiving, but keep in mind that it is a great thing to buy it when it's on sale, use up that freezer, and put it in there, and they stay beautifully in there.
It's amazing the powers of suggestion. As you guys are talking, I am starving. it's sort of, I'm salivating.
It's getting to lunchtime for you, right?
I love those dog, you talk about the food, and
there you go.
My mouth is getting, I'm tasting it.
You're tasting it. That's good. That's a good thing.
But I'd love to hear, like, if you guys have favorite recipe, even you guys, as we move through, fall, some favorite fall recipes. I'd love to learn from people who, there's so many, even if they're not professional cooks, like there are some amazing home chefs out there. And I do call them chefs, but they're, they come up with the most, amazing dishes that, I love to hear about. And sometimes they're a combination of different things. So particularly as it relates to some of the fall vegetables that we mentioned today, or fruits that we mentioned today.
We're talking about food and meal. I'm not sure if you're that familiar, but Sunday is the first night of Rosh Hashanah.
Right.
And
which is usually chicken or brisket.
It's pretty. My wife does brisket, and
potatoes have to be part of that. A nice veggie or
chicken
salad.
matzo ball soup, and
matzo ball soup. You have to have challah, a nice challah with it, and then you have the honey and apple, because you dip the apple in the honey to bring in a sweet year.
There's a lot of symbolism, right?
There's a lot of symbolism in this to bring the new year in, and in a nice way. So those things we keep traditionally do, because I'm not religious necessarily, but I do keep up, the traditions of the holidays for sure. So
culturally, I'm that way.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I always wish everybody a happy new year, for if they're Jewish or not.
Why not? We could all, everybody wants good wishes.
That's right. If we can give you good
Courtney,
wishes.
I celebrate Christmas all the time.
Right. Well, part of also Rosh Hashanah is it's a holiday. It's something that's done called tashlif, which is throwing your sins away, and it's usually into a body of water. You throw bread in. You feel bad for the fish and the ducks that are getting everything, all the stuff you're getting off your chest.
But if you throw whole wheat bread in, it's okay.
Yeah, if you throw some tofu in, you'll be okay. But it's typically would go to the ocean or the Long Island Sound. The last year's couple of years I've been going down to the city to see my son, and we go to Central Park to the nice bodies of water there, and people are like, but it wasn't only us. It was really interesting because there were other people doing it, which I found interesting. Well, New York, you get everybody.
Tradition.
Yeah,
anyway,
it is,
guys. Believe it or not, the show's over, and this time I know it's 30 minutes.
Okay, it's not 20. Last time you were
not 20.
It's 30. We're good. So
don't forget to toast your pumpkin seeds. Don't forget about those. Remember?
Oh, right. I have that down. I wrote seeds and then I didn't.
High in omega-3s type.
Right.
So don't forget your pumpkin seeds.
Those are good. I love to make roasted pumpkin seeds.
So anyway, Matt,
use them.
Bring us out.
I'm bringing you out. So all this great stuff. Thanks, Courtney. And thanks for joining us for Courtney on Health. To get more info, follow Courtney on her Facebook page, which is Courtney on Health, on Instagram at CLG Wellness, which is also for TikTok. Wow. Visit her website, CourtneyGrevenese.com. For more shows, go to MalcolmPresents.com and theManyShadesOfGreen.com. She has a podcast as well. So now here we are, Courtney on Health, smart, sound nutrition, strong, safe fitness. And we will catch you again next time.
Over and out.
Take care, guys.
Take care, everybody. Guys. Happy, healthy New Year.
Right. To those who celebrate and those who don't.
Why aren't we going off?